Your knowledge of contract language is imperative.
You must know what a violation looks like if you wish to be active in its cessation.
It is important to understand that being active and knowledgeable affects your overall bargaining strength.
Together, we can forge a more militant NALC.
Good morning and welcome back to Parcels of Knowledge, the podcast dedicated to delivering knowledge to the city letter carrier, with your host, that Roseville Wrecking Ball. Today we stand at grievance number 469. Nice. Anyway, today we will be talking about both a contract issue and a personal story. I was digging through the archives in my union office. Not the one at my branch, but the one that's at Roseville. And I stumbled upon something peculiar. I want to share this story with you because I think it's very interesting, and I think it's important to take a step back and look at what happened here. If you don't know Pat Carroll, he is a former NBA of Region 6. Pat Carroll used to be our president before he moved on to become the region's NBA. I've heard many great things about Pat. I think he's a great guy. He doesn't really talk to me, but he's done great things. He barely talks to me. He doesn't really associate with me, but that's a dimension of him that's irrelevant. I found something in my office from 1997 that I thought was very cool. It was essentially this binder that got PTFs familiar with their jobs as they were hired in. It had many different things in it, but one thing struck a chord with me. You see, here at Roseville, Michigan, we have a unique thing we do here. We have the right to drop our mail and leave it if it gets dark, and if we feel like darkness would be unsafe to deliver in. That is something I would not recommend. Lately, nationally, we've been losing cases of this nature, where darkness alone is the only reason why we stopped working. But here at Roseville, we have a precedent-setting decision from former Chief Steward Joe Fayad. He's the man now, dog. He signed it in 2013, and ever since, management's been observing it as precedent-setting, and we have had the absolute option to pack up and leave if we decide that it's too dark to deliver in. I've seen CCAs in the past leave at like 6:30 because it was just starting to get dark. It's something that I have always appreciated Joe Fayad for getting for us, because it was a great benefit to be safe from carrying in the darkness. Just think of that. The year is 1997. Joe Fayad is just coming in and he's learning the job. And the president gives him an article. This article I found was inside the binder. And that article said the Working in Darkness Guidelines from the desk of the president. Suddenly, that article sprouted legs in 1997, and it set the perfect foundation for Joe Fayad to succeed on the issue in 2013. It left such an imprint on Joe that he took it a step further and set the precedent in his installation. Both of these guys, I've got to hand it to them, they are the foundation on which I walk, and they are great people who have paved the way for the future. I'm going to read the article because it's still relevant today, and then I will end on some advice. It's going to be a short one today, but that was my intent. I just felt that I had to share this while it's still fresh on my mind. So, let's see. November, it was set in a binder from 97, but this is an article from 1995, so they must have reused it. But November 1995, from the desk of the president. Working in the Dark Guidelines. Please clip and save. Joe Fayad definitely saved this thing for, going on 30 years now. Although we have fought and won this battle many times in the past, we will inevitably have the situation in which one of our members will be confronted with a stubborn manager who hasn't yet understood the message in our position. The following information is being printed as a reminder for our members who find themselves in a situation where darkness will prohibit completion of deliveries. We have many new members who should heed this advice, and our veteran carriers should also review this material to familiarize themselves with the proper procedures. I would suggest you cut out or copy this information and keep it on you at all times when shortened daylight hours and deteriorating weather conditions exist. These following procedures should be followed. 1. Complete Form 3996 in the morning and request field assistance. 2. Inform your supervisor before you leave the office that your workload will dictate that you will not be able to finish your assignment before dark. 3. Inform your supervisor that it is unsafe for you to be delivering mail after dark. 4. If your supervisor does not wish to cooperate with you on this safety-related issue, request to see your steward. 5. If the situation cannot be resolved, even after intervention from your steward, call your supervisor in the afternoon and inform him or her that your situation has not changed and you will not be able to finish before darkness sets in. Again, request field assistance. If given an order to finish your route, follow the order until you feel unsafe conditions exist. 6. After it becomes dark, again call your supervisor, inform him or her that it is unsafe to continue delivery. Don't forget to collect reimbursement for money spent on phone calls. You're entitled to it. If you're once again given instructions to finish your assignment, make an attempt to follow the instruction. If the condition is unsafe and you are the one to make that determination, that's in capitals, return to the office. Inform your supervisor, if he or she is still in the building, that you have curtailed delivery because of an unsafe condition of working in the dark. If you receive any discipline for your actions, contact your steward and grieve the situation. Remember to document all conversations with your supervisor. And this last paragraph is going to be all in caps. We have not lost a case regarding this issue when the aforementioned guidelines have been followed. Back pay and overtime have been recovered for all lost wages. You deserve and have the right to safe working conditions. Both the union and management have the responsibility to provide a safe working environment under the provisions of Article 14 of the National Agreement. And our customers deserve quality and timely mail delivery. So that's the entire little thing you're supposed to cut out and save. This has been saved for 30 years over here. And I think for good reason. Joe really took that to heart. And that's what I'm talking about. That's why I needed to bring this to everybody's attention today. Because first of all, great words of wisdom. That still applies 30 years later. 30 years later. That still applies 100%. The only thing, the phone call thing about calling the supervisor, if you don't have access to a cell phone that is not minutes, then I would just drive to the office. I wouldn't actually go find a payphone like they used to because they don't exist anymore. But other than that, it's 100% applicable still today. The only difference is we've lost national cases. He was talking about cases locally, as far as I'm understanding. But we've lost a lot of national cases stating that, look, darkness is not enough. You have to have a condition that is of life or limb to violate Article 3, which is management right to manage. And your safety is more important, but the darkness alone is not going to cut it. Normally, you got to say, oh, well, it was dark and there was a dog barking. And, if you can't see the dog, well, then guess what? I don't understand if I'm safe or not. Or you got to say something like, oh, it was dark and the conditions were icy. Or it was dark and the pavement made me trip, so I didn't want to continue delivering because I didn't understand that the pavement was good enough to not trip in the future. Isn't that a good article, though? I hope you guys are writing like this to your new members to inform them of potential hazards and your rights to navigating them. I just wanted to stress that as leaders, even if we aren't leaders in the sense of holding a position, but if you are invested in making a positive change and impact on your brothers and sisters, you need to make sure that you are making that imprint, setting that foundation for new people to come in and succeed. Because of Pat Carroll's inspiring words, Joe Fayed came in with a militant mentality of keeping our members safe in the dark. Roseville has a lot of loose dogs. The darkness is certainly a hazard over here. And we don't have enough streetlights, our pavement's crumbling at times. This place is a hazard in the dark. And Joe Fayed, through the inspiration of Pat Carroll, made sure to put his members first and established a precedent that bent Article 3's right to manage. and handed the curtailment of delivery to the carriers if they felt unsafe in the dark. If you don't already know, the national consensus is that you can't be darkness alone. But if there was another hazard, in my opinion, then it would be too late. If there was a fucking dog in the darkness, of course, it'll bite your head. It'll bite you. I think that's idiotic, but I get it. Sometimes these supervisors come up with, leaving them in the hands of your safety is probably not the best idea anyway, with some of the things that they come up with. But regardless, I've seen that some people put this stuff in their LMOUs. I was monumentally let down by my business agent, specifically Kyle, but, it could be the whole office for all I know. But when LMOUs came in, I saw Gem City had a provision that talked about, it didn't state, hey, man, we have the right to curtail, but it did indicate our intent. It said that it's not our intent to allow carriers to carry in the dark because not only is it unsafe, it's also ineffective. So that way management got something saying, yeah, you're right, it's not effective. It could be cost effective to have the light. And the union got something, they said it was unsafe. I wanted to put something very similar. I think that this fits into the item that talks about the guidelines for the curtailment of mail. Their opinion was, we're not going to support it. So I asked the NBA, I said, I asked specifically Kyle, the RAA, well, if we tried to impasse this, because I've been working on it for a year, they knew I was working on it. They could have told me a year ago when I was in SOS 3 and I told them I was working on it. They could have told me then, hey, don't do it, I'm going to squash it. But I asked them, hey, if I got this to be impasse, it's in a precedent since 2013. We're already doing it. There's no reason not to have it in our LMOU, and it fits under curtailment of mail. And they say, no, it doesn't. We're not going to support that. We're going to squash it. That's the opposite of what I'm talking about. That's not setting the foundation of success. But, maybe they'll feel like the other way around. Kyle's a great guy. He's very smart. So maybe he has something that I just don't understand. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, I want to make sure, please, be an inspiration. Become a beacon of light to guide the fighters of the future. Maybe you should become a wrecking ball and tear down the bones of structures that are unfair so that others can walk in better paths, just like Pat Carroll did. And Joe Fayed got to walk in a better path, and now here I am. Joe Fayed did it for me. Hopefully you learned something valuable today. And as always, have a good day.
Out to the Roseville Wrecking Ball. He is an Article 8 scholar, and thank God. We need Article 8 scholars right now. The Grievous Genius and the Roseville Wrecking Ball doing amazing work.
Brothers and sisters, this guy is good, man. He's fucking good.
And my boy Joshua, he killed it. Man, he's lockstep right now. He's killing it.